Good morning, Ma. Welcome to the history lesson Ruling the Countryside. In yesterday's video, we have seen that there is a lot of demand for the Indian indigo, and we have also learned that the import of indigo from the Caribbean islands to Europe declined. Due to several reasons, it declined. But there was a huge demand for indigo because of industrialization in Europe. Now, where from will the Europeans get indigo, or the cloth manufacturers in Europe get indigo? Then they look towards India. And in India, there was already the colonial administration was there. East India Company was there in India, and they encouraged the farmers, or they at some point of time insisted the farmers to grow indigo. Now let us see today how Britain turns to India. Okay. Now see here, ma. In the last decade of the 18th century, last decade of 18th century means maybe it is after 1790. Okay. So after 1790, the Bengal indigo dominated the world market. Now as I said, because of several reasons, because of lack of proper dye for the European cloth manufacturers, because there was no imports from the Caribbean islands, because of all these reasons, the demand for Indian indigo was very much high. Okay, so what happened in 1788? That is before the last decade. 30% of indigo imported into Britain was the Indian indigo. Now see here. Okay. So in 1778, 30% of Indian indigo was imported. Okay. So okay. This can be 30%. This 30%. This share is some other countries. Okay. From some other parts of the world, Europe used to get indigo. 70% of the share was from some other parts of the world. Okay. And 30% was from India. This was the share of Indian indigo which was imported into Europe, imported by the European countries. This is the situation in 1788. Okay, ma? In 1788. Now, there was a drastic change in a very short period. See here, from 1788, when it came to 1810. So, in a span of 22 years, what is the share of Indian indigo in the European market? 95%. Means, now what happened? 95%, only 5% indigo was from some other places, and all the rest of indigo, whatever was there in the European market used by the cloth manufacturers, was from India. Did you understand? So there was a drastic change with respect to indigo in the European markets. Now see here, ma. As the indigo trade grew, commercial agents and officials of the company began investing in indigo production. Now see, the business with respect to indigo grew a lot, ma. The business with respect to indigo was very nice, very flourishing, and very profitable also now. Okay, so slowly what happened? See, commercial agents. Till then, ma, for any business you will be having agents. Usually what they do, see, suppose a person A has produced something, he will be selling it to a person B, and this person B will add some commission to himself, and he will be selling at a more price to person C. So this person becomes agent. He'll be taking some commission, standing in between the buyer and the seller and the buyer. Okay, he'll be the middleman. So these agents, they used to be agents who used to trade with indigo. They used to add some profit to them, or they used to take some commission whenever a deal with respect to sale is done. Okay, ma? So this commercial agents, British officials, the British officials who used to work in the East India Company, they left their jobs. They just left their jobs and they went into the cultivation of indigo. Scotsmen means the Scottish people, again the Europeans only, the Englishmen, all these people, the Scotsmen, the Englishmen, they came from Europe, all the way from Europe. They left everything over there and they came to India. The British officials who used to work under British administration, they resigned their jobs and they came for the cultivation. The commercial agents, all these people, what they did, you know, they invested money. They invested money in indigo cultivation, okay, and they became planters because this business was seen very profitable. So they all came, invested lots of money in this indigo cultivation. So they were called as the planters. They were called planters. Now, as I said, these people came, they invested money and started cultivation. Then, how was this how was this cultivation carried out? The indigo cultivation, how was it carried out? In this also, two ways were followed by these English people with respect to cultivation of indigo. That is the niche and the route systems. Okay, that we'll see now. Well, students, the cultivation of indigo was undertaken in two systems. Okay, one is the niche system, NIJ, niche system, and the other one is the route system. Ma, route is a English pronunciation, and the same when we tell it in Telugu, it is Raitu. That's it. Okay, this is not any foreign word for us. Anyway, this is the route system. Route means a farmer. Okay. Now, first let us see what is the niche system. Okay, then afterwards we'll go to the route system. Now, in niche system, the planters, you know who are the planters? These are the people, the Scottishmen, the Englishmen, the commercial agents, they came here, they purchased land. They are called the planters. Okay, so here the planters, they produced in the lands he directly controlled. So here see, the planter produced in the land which he directly controlled. How will a planter control a land directly? Only when he purchases that land or only when he takes that land on rent. He used to either purchase the land if he has got more money, or he used to rent lands. Okay, he used to take lands from the farmers or the zamindars, and then he used to pay rent to them. So the planter, he produced in lands which he directly controlled. Understood now? Now see here what they did. How did they directly control the lands? They either bought the lands or they rented the lands, as I said. Okay, then they produced by employing hired labor. So here indigo has to be produced. The planter has come from some other land, so he has to have labor in order to cultivate that particular plantation. So what he used to do, he used to hire the people in the country. He used to hire the peasants in India. He used to take them on, to hire them and pay them some amount of money, which was earlier only, which was talked about. So in this way, they used to do the production with the help of the hired laborers. So this is the niche system. This was very simple actually. Not much complications were there in this, but it had problems. What are the problems associated? We will see. What are the problems associated? Now see here. Indigo should be cultivated on large plots of land, but planters acquired small plots. Now it should have large plots of land. This is more important. For the cultivation of indigo, indigo is a plantation. Like you just imagine a plantation of a tea or a coffee, and how on a large extents how it is grown. It is grown on big stretches. Is it grown on this much in half acre or in quarter acre? Is it grown like that? A tea plantation, have you ever seen? At least try to see it online. Go search in Google, you will get the beautiful tea plantations, and you can see that these are grown not on small plots of land, but they are just spread as far as possible. Okay, so in such way this indigo should also be grown. But what happened, most of the fertile lands, by the time they came here, most of the fertile lands were under the control of the farmers, where possessed by the farmers. So whatever land was left over, that land they could buy or they could take it on rent. Okay, so in this process they could not get big plots of land. They got only small plots of land, and in that cultivation of indigo became a problematic issue. So first is large plots of land were not available. That was the first problem associated. Now the next problem was labor. Now they need, in order to cultivate indigo in such large plots of land, lots and lots of labor are required. Yes. Now who will be the labor again? The same people in India, the peasants or the landless farmers. They used to be the laborers to these planters. Yes. Now a problem came when the cultivation of rice and the cultivation of indigo was done at the same time. Means at the time of the cultivation of the rice, if there was any cutting, if there was any work associated with respect to rice plantation, then all these laborers first used to go towards there only, towards the paddy farms, towards there, and there they used to work. So here they were left with very less people, very less laborers to work in the farms. That became another big issue. Now see, it was not easy to mobilize labor. A large plantation required vast number of hands to operate, and labor was needed precisely at a time when peasants were usually busy with their rice cultivation. So always the cultivation of rice and the cultivation of indigo, the requirement of labor with respect to both the cultivations clashed. They also needed labor at the same time, and the planters also needed labor at the same time. So in such problems were associated with availability of labor. So the second problem is availability of labor. So labor was another big problem. Now investing on purchase of plows was again a problem. Now as I said, indigo should be cultivated on large extents, large big areas, yeah, and there all these tools should be more in number. One or two tools they can't manage the entire land, no ma. So more number of tools like plows and all were required. Plow means in Telugu they say nagali. Yes, so these plows were required. Now see here, one biga of indigo cultivation required 2 plows. 1 biga means 1/3 of an acre. It is given here in your textbook. See, this one also you have to read. Okay. Now see, this meant that a planter with 1000 bigas would need 2000 plows. Investing on purchase and maintenance of plows was a big problem. Nor could supplies be easily got from the peasants, since their plows and bullocks were busy on their rice fields. So all these problems, availability of plows, availability of bullock carts, and as I said, when there was need of plows and bullock carts in the indigo plantation, at the same time the peasants wanted the plows and bullock carts for the rice cultivation. So all these problems were associated with respect to the in the niche system. Okay, so at the last, till 19th century, the planters were reluctant to expand cultivation under niche. So because of these problems, the planters, they did not want to expand the cultivation under the niche system, because they had to face all these problems now. So only 25% was under niche and rest under the Routh system. So till 19th century, only 25% of land was cultivated under the niche system, and the rest 75% was under the Routh system. So what is this Routh system? That we'll see in the next video. That's for today.